Back in the present, Suyang's expression hardens with grim understanding. She realizes the dimensional fissure could be a bridge, threatening to unleash that hostile kingdom upon their world. An apocalyptic vision flashes, showing a devastating war against an army of S-rank beasts. In a flashback, Suyang's father coolly weighs the risk of Suho's world against the potential reward. He confidently raises his glass, believing Suho's status as king negates any potential threat. Back in the present, Suyang is horrified to learn Suho can't control the beast from his dimension. She desperately questions how this is possible, reminding him of his royal status in that world. Suho grimly admits he's no longer the powerful king he once was, and his weakness would make him a target. A dreadful realization dawns on Suyang as she accepts the terrifying truth in his words. Suho commands his pack to change course, racing to a remote field to lure the threat away from the city. He and Suyang become a blur, launching themselves into the dense forest at blinding speed. The Dongsu TV crew skids to a stop, momentarily confused before deciding to pursue them into the woods. Without hesitation, their truck plows into the forest, determined to follow the unfolding crisis. A vortex of crackling energy tears open the sky, heralding the arrival of the dimensional fissure. Suyang urgently points out the spatial distortion as Suho continues his relentless sprint. Suho's keen senses pick up on a new development, his gaze sharp with curiosity. Meanwhile, an associate calmly answers a call from Suyang, unaware of the unfolding chaos. Suyang warns her colleague that the portal to the beast world is moments from opening. The associate's casual demeanor shatters, her face twisting in disbelief at the news. Suyang frantically orders her to relay the coordinates of the fissure to the military immediately. Responding to the alert, a convoy of heavy military vehicles mobilizes with incredible speed. The military trucks arrive on site, skidding to a halt as they prepare to face the imminent threat. Without a moment's hesitation, a missile launcher is armed and aimed, ready for whatever comes through. The missile launchers mechanically lock into position, aiming skyward at the anomaly. The Capital Artillery Brigade confirms they are in position, awaiting the order to fire. Suho's sharp senses pick up on a crucial detail about the crackling energy. He confidently declares this isn't a gateway to his savage world, but merely a common portal. Suyang is baffled, questioning how he could possibly know that without any detection gear. Suho explains that the portal's energy feels distinctly different from the one he traveled through. She speculates that the difference might just be because he used a special portal designed for returnees. Her train of thought is abruptly cut short by a dawning, dreadful realization. She recalls the immense energy from Suho's arrival. Understanding this new portal feels significantly weaker. Suho confidently identifies the threat not as a dimensional bridge, but as a simple dungeon portal. Suyang struggles to accept that the apocalyptic threat she envisioned is nothing more than this. The Dongsu TV crew stares at the sky, believing they're witnessing a catastrophic dimensional impact. Their confusion grows as two official RCD vehicles speed past them into the field. The crew leader instantly recognizes the elite RCD perception team has arrived on the scene. Moments later, a squadron of military helicopters swarms the sky, descending on the anomaly. The TV reporter nervously speculates if the portal leads to an entirely new planet. A brilliant blue light erupts from the ground, signaling the portal's full activation. Suho and Suyang stand calmly before the massive, crackling sphere of energy. Suyang shields her eyes, forced to admit that it is indeed just a dungeon portal. Her gaze turns to Suho, a new wave of questions forming in her mind. Suyang questions how Suho's perception could surpass hers, as she's considered the best in Korea. The Dongsu TV truck screeches to a halt, its crew completely stunned by the colossal energy portal. The reporters leap from their vehicle, excitedly speculating if they've found a gateway to another planet. Their investigation is cut short by the arrival of two official RCD vehicles, drawing everyone's attention. RCD Perception Team 11 announces their presence, immediately beginning to unload their heavy equipment. The specialized team works efficiently, setting up their advanced gear to analyze the anomaly. As their devices activate, the team prepares to measure the dungeon's level and its potential break time. Suho and Suyang stand behind the lead technician, watching intently as the machine processes the data. The final reading flashes onto the screen, showing a number that surprises both Suyang and Suho. The technician confirms the anticlimactic result. It's merely a low-grade, level for dungeon. Suyang sighs in disappointment at the low-level threat, while Suho smirks, finding the result amusing. Over the phone, Suyang's associate expresses her own disbelief that all the chaos was for a simple level 4 dungeon. Suyang's hand crackles with energy as she recalls Suho's claim that this portal is different from his own. Now fully geared up, she declares they must enter the dungeon to discover the truth for themselves. and our CD superior erupts in disbelief over the phone, baffled by the anticlimactic dungeon level. The associate calmly suggests sending a specialist to verify if it's a portal for returnees. Before jumping to conclusions, the superior complains about the immense budget already spent on what might be a false alarm. His subordinate confidently reminds him that Suho's power far exceeds any level for classification. He furiously counters that if it's a normal dungeon, Suho is just a regular returnee, jeopardizing their high-stakes investment. She fiercely defends their position, stating that Suho's unique status as an irregular is precisely where his true value lies. The superior panics that if the press reveals Suho is just a dungeon returnee, all investment in the new world will vanish. His subordinate sighs warily, absorbing the immense pressure of his demands. He furiously warns her that their careers are on the line if she can't salvage the situation. Back on site, their CD equipment confirms the dungeon won't break for over 50 days. Suyang relays the information, telling her associate to send the mobilized troops back. The RCD technician gives Suho a silent, bewildered look, processing the conversation. Suho turns to the technician, nonchalantly asking him what the problem is. The technician explains the immense difficulty of clearing a level for dungeon multiple times a day, questioning Suho's guild's capacity. Suho dismisses the concern with unnerving confidence, leaving the technician speechless. He then casually admires their gear, asking about the price of the advanced dungeon measuring rig. The technician reveals that while top guilds own these devices, the latest model cost a staggering $3 million. Suho acknowledges the hefty price tag, a fact the RCD agent readily confirms. In a surprising twist, the agent presents a contract, offering the expensive rig to Suho as a permanent signing bonus. Suho grows suspicious, questioning the government's sudden and overwhelming generosity. The technician can only offer a slightly strained smile in response to Suho's skepticism. He explains the government's motive. They know foreign powers are interested and want to secure Suho's loyalty, leaning in with a persuasive grin. The agent insists that the Korean government considers Suho one of their own. He dramatically concludes his pitch, calling Suho a national treasure. While a nearby reporter gets sick from the portal's energy, Suho bluntly shatters the agent's premise, stating he's received no such calls from foreign agencies. Before the flustered agent can respond, the Dongsu TV crew leader interrupts, needing a word with Suho. The reporter reveals that foreign entities are flooding his channel with donations to get Suho's attention. Suho's interest is piqued as he inquires about the total sum of these generous offers. The crew leader nervously stammers out a staggering figure, at least $500,000. Suho places a firm hand on the reporter's shoulder, creating a moment of tense anticipation. He then offers a profound lesson, warning against being a slave to money and valuing community more. Humbled by the advice, the reporter bows his head and promises to take the words to heart. Dongsu then nervously confesses he has about 3 foreign proposals he was supposed to pass along. Suho gives him an unimpressed look, silently prompting him to get to the point. The reporter sheepishly wonders if these powerful groups would retaliate for his failure to deliver their messages. Suho provides a simple alibi, telling him to claim Suho simply ignored the offers. Much to the reporter's immense relief, Suho instructs the reporter to gear up and join the team, much to his excited approval. He generously allows the reporter to keep a cut of the donations, with the rest going to the guild fund. Now fully suited, Suho turns his back to the camera, resolutely facing the glowing portal. The reporter watches with pure admiration, completely captivated by Suho's style and money-making aura. He gleefully skips away, celebrating the massive $3.6 million windfall he just helped secure. With his team assembled, Suho's arm crackles with energy as he prepares to lead them into the dungeon. An RCD agent dashes forward, desperately trying to halt their entry until an official assault team arrives. Already inside the portal's threshold, Suho gives a one-word refusal that stuns both Suyang and the agent. He coldly reminds them of the contract, stating only 2 observers are permitted, and they are forbidden from fighting. Suyang accepts the strict conditions, confidently leading her small observation party into the dungeon. The reporter questions their small party size, but Suyang confidently tells him to just focus on filming. An energetic white puppy suddenly appears, barking excitedly to join the expedition. Suho casually invites the unexpected companion, offering it a chance to level up with the team. With his crew assembled, Suho's expression hardens as he rallies them to begin the raid. A brilliant surge of blue energy erupts as the team fully enters the dungeon's mysterious interior. Lightning crackles around Suho's feet, a clear sign of the immense power he's channeling. Suho gives a final glance back before leading his entire party deeper into the unknown. They find themselves in a bizarre, alien forest, prompting Suyang to question if this is the special portal. Suho scans the eerie landscape, admitting that he can't confirm its true nature just yet. Suyong's eyes suddenly flare with a blue glow as she senses a powerful presence nearby. Suyong senses something strangely familiar about the hissing, misty landscape. The nervous reporter questions their casual approach, suggesting they establish a defensive perimeter. His companion dismisses his concerns, telling him to simply trust Suho's leadership. Suddenly, Suyong's eyes glow intensely as she throws up a hand, halting the party's advance. Her abrupt command startles the reporter and his associate, who look ahead in alarm. She pinpoints the threat, announcing 3 monsters are lurking just ahead in the mist. The reporter's more experienced companion unsheathes his knife, preparing for a fight. The reporter reluctantly draws his own blade, looking utterly unconvinced of its usefulness. Through the fog, the twisted, menacing shapes of the forest monstrous inhabitants become visible. Unfazed, Suho grips his sword as crackling blue lightning begins to envelop the blade. One of Suho's companions strides forward with a disturbing grin, his sword glowing as the RCD agent looks on in shock. The agent panics at the man's reckless advance, while his partner remains stoically focused on the situation. Ignoring everyone, the berserk hunter dashes forward with a manic expression, clearly out of control. Suho moves in a flash, delivering a sharp, precise blow to the back of his rampaging teammate's neck. The hunter immediately collapses to the ground, completely neutralized by Suho's swift intervention. The RCD agent and his partner rush towards the scene, one panicked and the other with grim resolve. Suho calmly orders his team to sedate the fallen hunter, an instruction his companion quickly follows. Suyong explains to the bewildered agent that the hunter has a unique condition that makes him go berserk with the sword. The companion gently administers a sedative to the now unconscious hunter, calming him down. Suho watches with a cool, detached expression, having effortlessly handled the unexpected internal crisis. A sleek black tendril whips through the dense foliage, signaling an unseen enemy's approach. Suho takes a protective stance, ordering his team to stay behind him as he prepares to face the threat. The forest canopy erupts in a violent rustle as the hidden creature moves closer. A monstrous, purple-skinned beast with a gaping maw lets out a ferocious roar from the shadows. Suho reiterates his command, his expression hardening as he stands guard before his party. The sound of movement intensifies, shaking the leaves and heightening the tension. The terrifying creature opens its mouth wide, revealing rows of sharp teeth in a threatening display. 3 reptilian monsters armed with spears finally burst from the trees, charging with a unified shriek. The reporter identifies the creatures as lizardmen while Suyong's fist crackles with power, calling for his own defense. Suho ignores the defensive call, leaping forward with lightning crackling around his feet to meet the enemy head-on. The reporter's eyes glow with focus as he commences video recording, ready to capture the unfolding battle. Suho expertly weaves between the 3 lizardmen, their spear tips unable to touch him. One of the monsters lets out a piercing shriek, its long tongue lashing out in a vicious attack. With a blur of motion, Suho dodges the assault and delivers a devastating slash to the creature. He pivots midair, his sword cutting through a second monster as the first one collapses. Without hesitation, Suho drives his blade into the final lizardman, silencing it instantly. A single, precise strike completely dispatches the creature in a brutal display of efficiency. He lands perfectly, skidding to a halt as the dust settles from his lightning-fast assault. A system notification appears, awarding him performance points as the last monster trembles and falls. Suho calmly stands over the defeated creatures, his entire party watching in stunned silence from a distance. The reporter stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend Suho's impossible reflexes. Suho immediately orders his 2 companions to start harvesting the monster remains. The 2 hunters, Dongsu and Junho, eagerly move forward, with Junho flashing a menacing grin. They begin messily extracting loot from the fallen creatures as Suyong complains about the splatter. The reporter notes Junho's startling transformation with a weapon, while Suyong urges him to stay focused. Suho warns his party to prepare themselves, as he intends to bring them live targets next. His 2 companions eagerly consume the glowing magic cores they've just collected from the monsters. The reporter internally panics at the thought of the rookie and the unstable hunter facing C-grade monsters. The small white puppy looks up at Suho, barking expectantly for its own command. Suho sends the eager puppy into the forest with a new mission, to lure out more enemies. The reporter is utterly baffled by Suho's unorthodox strategy. With a fierce bark, the small white dog charges bravely into the dark woods. It vanishes into the tangled trees, its determined cries echoing through the mist. The agent questions the morality of using a dog as bait, but Suyong remains unfazed. He frets about being overrun, but she simply instructs him to continue filming. The 2 battle-hungry hunters announce the imminent arrival of their targets. A terrifying chorus of shrieks and rumbles erupts from deep within the forest. The reporter's face twists in alarm as the sheer number of enemies becomes apparent. Junho flashes a wild, unsettling grin, clearly reveling in the approaching chaos. The reporter sweats with dread, recognizing the familiar signs of the hunter's instability. As Dongsu frantically suggests doubling the sedative, Junho's grin widens with unhinged glee. Completely out of control, Junho charges headfirst into the fray, leaving his stunned teammates behind. Suho barks an order at Dongsu, his expression showing clear frustration with the situation. Dongsu immediately acknowledges the command, his face set with grim determination as he rushes to join the fight. The small white puppy emerges from the woods, successfully luring a massive horde of monsters behind it. As the puppy zips past, the first wave of monsters hurls their weapons at the surprised hunters. The nimble puppy effortlessly dodges a spear, which thuds into the ground just inches behind it. Junho's thrown sword finds its mark, striking a reptilian beast directly in the head. As the first creature collapses, its companion lets out a guttural growl and lunges forward with its spear. Crackling with power and wielding two daggers, Junho grins with pure battle lust, ready to unleash his fury. A purple beast unleashes a terrifying roar, its maw filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Lost in a battle frenzy, Junho leaps through the air, bringing his blades down on the creature. As Dongsu joins the fray, a monster shrieks and grabs his arm, halting his attack. Dongsu retaliates with a powerful slash, freeing himself as the small puppy watches from the sidelines. The puppy, Beku, lunges forward, sinking its teeth into a monster's leg with surprising force. The reporter screams a desperate warning as he spots a new threat emerging from the chaos. Distracted by the fight, Dongsu is caught off guard as a monster lunges at him from behind. A sudden blast of energy strikes the creature just before it reaches Dongsu, saving him at the last second. Suyang reveals a massive crossbow, channeling a powerful skill called Absol Flare. She unleashes a rapid-fire barrage of glowing bolts, providing covering fire from the backlines. Suyang's glowing bolts pierce the monster mid-lunge, saving Dongsu from a fatal blow. Unfazed by the chaos, Junho continues his relentless assault, swinging his blood-soaked blade. He spins with deadly grace, cutting down another shrieking beast in a single, fluid motion. A system notification reveals Junho is only a level E1 hunter, making his power all the more shocking. A chilling grin spreads across Junho's face as he revels in the carnage around him. Dongsu celebrates exuberantly as a system window confirms he has successfully leveled up to E9. The reporter watches in stunned silence, his mind struggling to process the impossible scene. He questions Suyang, unable to believe this is a level for dungeon given how easily the party is handling it. From a distance, the reporter watches the hunters casually dismantle the monsters, baffled by their efficiency. Suyang glares at the reporter, sharply ordering him to stop complaining and focus on his job. The small white puppy growls and dashes back into the fray, ready for more action. Dongsu yells a frantic warning to Suho, pointing out that they are now completely surrounded. Suho turns calmly, his expression unbothered by the dire news. A massive, toothy monster erupts from the trees, letting out a ferocious roar. Suho easily sidesteps as two more shrieking creatures lunge at him simultaneously. A hulking beast raises its spear high, preparing for a devastating downward strike. Completely composed, Suho draws his glowing dagger, ready to face the overwhelming odds. Outside the dungeon, a white SUV screeches to a sudden stop. A crowd of reporters and other individuals has gathered near the entrance, drawn by the commotion. A young man in a blue jacket eagerly salutes, welcoming the arrival of Captain Miso. Captain Miso angrily confronts the man blocking her car, questioning his reckless behavior. The man, Taisik, calmly refuses to move until she answers a single question. He reveals that he saw Captain Lee's assault team enter the dungeon ahead of them. Miso glares back, unimpressed and demanding to know why that matters. Taisik grins, deducing that Captain Lee's presence confirms the dungeon is a high-risk level 4. Her silence and stern gaze confirm his theory, leaving no room for doubt. Taisik's smug smile shows his satisfaction at having outmaneuvered her. Having made his point, Taisik orders the crowd to clear a path for the captain's vehicle. The SUV speeds off towards the dungeon as the onlookers wave their thanks. Taisik informs his own disappointed team that a level for Returnee is inside, telling them to abandon their plans. The white SUV barrels through the forest at high speed, racing towards the dungeon. Inside, Miso's subordinate questions her judgment, concerned she's revealing classified information. She retorts with cold logic, asking him to weigh the value of Suho Park against mere profiteers. Her driver hesitantly agrees, acknowledging that Suho is indeed the priority. Miso reveals her endgame, officially classifying Suho as a dungeon returnee, to shield him from interference. Her subordinate worries about the consequences, knowing the chief will disapprove of their actions. She dismisses his concerns, declaring they are there to create solutions, not follow protocol. Back at the dungeon, the heavily armed Assault Team 13 takes its position, ready for action. Their powerful leader cracks his neck, exuding an air of disciplined readiness. He confirms his squad is prepared, and they respond with a unified, unwavering affirmation. The Assault Team leader grins with anticipation, eager to get the mission underway. Just as they're about to move, a subordinate rushes in with an urgent order to stand down. Captain Lee's excitement turns to irritation as he's forced to halt his squad. A white SUV suddenly appears, screeching to a stop right in front of the assembled team. Captain Miso steps out, positioning herself between the assault team and the dungeon entrance. She calmly addresses the imposing Captain Lee, her expression unreadable. He demands to know the reason for her sudden and unwelcome appearance. Miso firmly denies his team entry, creating a tense standoff. She reveals that Suho himself has forbidden any other teams from entering, a request they must honor. The assault team captain stares back in fury, unable to believe he needs permission to do his job. Captain Lee explodes with frustration, protesting that his team dropped everything to be there. Miso calmly acknowledges his complaint, but insists the circumstances are what they are. He furiously argues that their contract gives them the right to enter, questioning this sudden change in protocol. With a sharp look, she declares that the contract itself is precisely what needs to be adjusted. Miso then reveals she's also acting on direct orders from the chief, catching the assault team leader off guard. Captain Lee grimaces, finding the entire bureaucratic mess utterly ridiculous. She smirks, inviting him into her car for a more private and persuasive conversation. Meanwhile, news of Suho's status as a level for Returnee breaks online, sending shockwaves through the financial world. An official is swamped with calls, desperately trying to manage the fallout from the unexpected reveal. The relentless ringing of his office phone highlights the widespread chaos Miso has just unleashed. The overwhelmed official groans in frustration, unable to handle the relentless calls. He explodes in anger, demanding his team get Captain Miso on the phone immediately. Elsewhere in the city, the news of Suho's return continues to spread. A researcher in a lab coat calmly clicks his mouse, accessing the latest information. His screen displays an article officially identifying Suho Park as a level for dungeon returnee. The man ponders this new twist, intrigued by the mention of a level for dungeon. He muses to himself that Suho's life seems to be one surprise after another. A sudden realization dawns on him as he stares intently at the screen. His mind flashes back to Suho's own story about his time on the other planet. He remembers Suho describing his early days surviving by the sea, before realizing it was unsustainable. The researcher recalls Suho's story, remembering his early days surviving by the water. He vividly pictures Suho's account of a vast ocean teeming with monstrous creatures. A crucial inconsistency clicks into place. Level for dungeons are far too small to contain an ocean. He wonders how such a massive, world-like environment could have possibly become a dungeon. The researcher theorizes that the planet Suho was on may have fractured, turning a piece of it into the dungeon. His mind flashes back to a desperate plea from Suho's brother, asking for help to find him. The researcher calmly agreed to help, but his assistance came with a condition. Suho's brother listened intently, waiting to hear the researcher's terms. The price for his help was the full, unabridged story of Suho's 500-year saga. Back in the present, the once chaotic office phone sits silently on his desk. The researcher recalls the deal he made, waiting for the full story as promised. He reflects on his initial skepticism, finding the claim of an F-rank king utterly unbelievable at the time. Full of regret, he realizes his own preconceptions made him miss out on an incredible story. Inside the dungeon, Suho leaps into the fray, a whirlwind of blades against a swarm of creatures. His blade flashes, slicing through the monstrous ranks with brutal efficiency. Defeated monsters rain down around him, their forms collapsing in a heap. Landing with immense power, he shatters the ground in a devastating impact. His support team watches in awe, completely stunned that he cleared the horde in one decisive strike. Looking over his shoulder, a blood-splattered Suho calmly orders his team to collect the loot. A small, shadowy familiar immediately springs into action, excitedly swinging through the dungeon's foliage. The support team ventures deeper into the dungeon, taking in the alien, yet beautiful scenery. One member notes the sparkling rocks, finding them strangely pretty but clashing with the environment. Suho, however, is struck by an odd sense of déjà vu, feeling like he's been here before. The team's attention is suddenly drawn to a large boulder with Korean writing carved into it. The crude inscription serves as a warning, declaring the area leopard territory and a place to never return to. Suho gazes at the familiar-looking message, a hint of realization dawning on his face. The blonde woman jokingly asks a teammate if he was the one who left the desperate message. She quickly drops the joke with a weary expression, deciding it's not worth pursuing. She turns to the analyst, who confirms he's recording every detail of their bizarre discovery. The woman silently wonders how their language could possibly be found carved into a rock. In this otherworldly dungeon, the blonde woman whips her head around, startled by a sudden realization. She watches as Suho breaks away from the group, heading up a rocky incline alone. Snapping out of her confusion, she quickly orders the rest of the team to follow him. The support team scrambles to keep up, navigating the difficult, uneven ground. Suho stops before the gaping maw of a dark, imposing cave. His expression is grim and focused, hinting at a deep connection to this place. His team finally catches up, bewildered by the cave's sudden appearance and feeling a sense of dread. As they approach, a brilliant, ethereal light suddenly bursts from the cave's entrance. The team members recoil in astonishment, completely unprepared for the sight before them. Suho stands before a breathtaking spectacle. The cave walls are covered in glowing Korean script, a testament to countless stories left behind. The team is stunned to find the cave walls covered in glowing Korean script, questioning who could have left it. One member reads a desperate plea for home and chicken, dryly dubbing the author a Dungeon Crusoe. The analyst spots a more somber message, a simple yet profound carving about missing other people. His confusion mounts as he and his teammate continue to decipher the bizarre and personal entries. Their eyes land on a particularly desperate and unfiltered carving, revealing the author's rawest urges. The analyst recoils in disgust at the crude thoughts immortalized on the wall, while his partner remains oblivious. They find another message accompanied by a childish doodle, mocking the author's immaturity. The team chuckles at the strange drawings, including what looks like flaming mushrooms, finding the whole diary increasingly surreal. The mood shifts as they read a heartbreaking entry about missing family, even those the author once disliked. A team member freezes, his eyes widening in shock as he recognizes the name Junho carved into the stone. The team member reads the most damning evidence yet, a carving that simply states, "Suho Park was here." His teammates are left speechless, sweating as the impossible truth finally dawns on them. The blonde woman turns with a sharp, knowing look, her focus shifting entirely to Suho. She watches him stand alone amidst the glowing script, a man confronting his own 500-year-old diary. The others, oblivious, find a crude mural cursing a leopard, bizarrely appraising it as valuable art. The team leader approaches Suho, cautiously asking if this cave was truly his home for all those years. His intense gaze, filled with the weight of centuries, confirms her question without a single word. A memory surfaces of a hand-drawn map, marking his territory and a long-standing truce with a rival named Kuro. He vividly recalls a savage battle from his past, clashing with the monstrous beastman Kuro. The flashback ends on the piercing, predatory stare of his ancient, glowing-eyed foe. His memory reveals a feral, determined grin, the face of a man ready for a fight to the death. The team leader's concerned voice snaps him back to the present, his hardened expression melting into surprise. His gaze falls upon another carving, a historical record detailing the Moonhill battle against a guerrilla tribe. The memory intensifies, the very ground seeming to rumble as the epic battle from his past begins to unfold. A chilling inscription on the wall declares the battle's grim stakes. One of the leaders was fated to die. He recalls his younger self, a wild warrior charging into a brutal clash with a monstrous ape. A sudden flash of light yanks him from the memory, leaving him standing stunned in the present day. His wide eyes reflect the raw shock of reliving such a violent and pivotal moment. From his long history, a teammate's discovery interrupts the tension, pointing out a cache of half-finished knives hidden in the wall. The team realizes with astonishment that the blades are forged from the dungeon's sparkling stone, making them priceless artifacts. Without warning, Suho plants his foot and prepares to bolt from the cave. He suddenly sprints away from the group, disappearing into a blinding light at the exit. His teammates shout in confusion, completely caught off guard by his abrupt departure. The team leader immediately gives chase, determined not to let him get away. She calls out his name, her voice filled with urgency as she sprints after him. The remaining members bicker, blaming each other for potentially upsetting Suho with their jokes. Meanwhile, Suho moves with inhuman speed, leaving everyone far behind. He lands with tremendous force, propelling himself forward with each powerful stride. In a flash, he launches himself skyward, ascending with impossible speed. He comes to a stop atop a towering peak, surveying the vast, familiar territory below. His face, spattered with blood, contorts in shock as he questions what has become of this place. The team leader finally catches up to him on the rocky peak, calling out his name. She takes a firm step forward, closing the distance between them on the narrow ledge. She urgently asks for an explanation, questioning if this strange land was really his home. Suho confirms it is, but his troubled expression shows that the landscape is not as he remembers it. He gestures to the horizon, recalling a massive, snow-covered mountain that is no longer there. Pointing in another direction, he describes a long-gone orchard and a vast ocean. The current landscape is a stark contrast to his memory, with no sign of the sea he once knew. The team leader is stunned by the revelation that an entire ocean has simply vanished. He explains it was known as the Howling Ocean, a forbidden and treacherous sea that is now gone. The team leader struggles to comprehend the idea of an entire ocean existing within a dungeon. She confronts Suho directly, who calmly admits to being the author of the cave's diary. He reveals the carvings were a desperate effort to cling to his humanity while hiding from Beast. Even after moving on, he returned to the cave, using the diary to preserve his ability to write. Suho's focus shifts to the present, questioning the new lizardman inhabitants of his former home. The leader presses him for information, asking about the fate of the animals he once knew. A look of concern crosses Suho's face as he considers what became of them. He confidently states this was once leopard territory, and they were too proud to be displaced by lizardmen. His companion points to a thick fog bank looming in the distance. She grimly explains that the fog marks the dungeon's boundary, implying a dark fate for the missing creatures. Suho stares in disbelief, realizing the fog represents the dungeon's absolute boundary. Their conversation is cut short by piercing shrieks echoing from the valley below. The team leader's eyes glow with power as she senses the ground rumbling from an approaching horde. A massive wave of lizardmen charges forward, their numbers quickly climbing past 80. The rest of the team scrambles to keep up, knowing they're doomed if they get separated. The count of approaching monsters skyrockets to over 100, all stampeding in their direction. The leader questions why the entire tribe is attacking at once as she prepares for the onslaught. Leading the charge is a massive, red-skinned beast identified as the King Lizardman. The King Lizardman lets out a terrifying roar, its face a mask of pure aggression. Suho's eyes lock onto the king's helmet, recognizing the skull as the head of a leopard. Suho coldly instructs his companion to stay back with the others, leaving her confused. He then leaps from the mountaintop, much to the team leader's shock. He plummets towards the valley floor, aiming directly for the charging monsters. The team leader screams after him, questioning his insane plan. Below, the lizardmen continue their frenzied, shrieking advance. The scene abruptly cuts to a city, where a pigeon peacefully pecks at seeds on the ground. An elderly woman watches the bird with a gentle smile, happy to see it eating well. Suddenly, the pigeon is engulfed in a crackling blue aura, its eye glowing with an unnatural light. The bird erupts in a flurry of feathers and energy, terrifying the screaming woman. Back in the dungeon, the team leader's face contorts in utter astonishment at what she's witnessing. To her amazement, Suho sprouts magnificent wings of pure energy, soaring through the air. The King Lizardman lets out a furious shriek, raising its massive spear to strike. Suho's expression is one of cold focus, his eyes glowing with power as he descends. With a mighty heave, the king hurls his spear, sending it hurtling through the air like a missile. He effortlessly dodges the projectile, continuing his dive straight into the heart of the enemy horde. He lands with a powerful impact, his glowing wings stunning the surrounding lizardmen into silence. From a flash of light, a small white dog materializes, barking with surprising ferocity. The small creature begins to transform, its body expanding into a monstrous, shadowy beast. The King Lizardman recoils, letting out a piercing shriek at the sight of its new opponent. The massive white beast lunges forward, sinking its teeth into the King Lizardman with overwhelming force. The monstrous beast effortlessly flings the shrieking King Lizardman through the air. A massive explosion of energy erupts from the forest below, marking the king's brutal landing. Watching from the cliff, the team leader is left utterly speechless by the ridiculous display of power. One of her teammates cautiously approaches, his expression a mix of confusion and awe. The rest of the team panics, mistakenly believing Suho just fell to his doom. The leader calmly reassures her frantic team, confidently stating that Suho is still alive. Despite her words, the team continues to shout in disbelief, forcing her to repeat her statement with frustration. Below, a new wave of purple, spear-wielding lizardmen rumbles forward to join the fight. The leader's focus snaps back to the battle as she alerts her team to the approaching horde. Responding to her command, the team members prepare for action, with one raising a heavy shield. One of the team members aims his crossbow, eagerly challenging the approaching monsters. Another teammate angrily hefts a massive boulder, preparing to join the fray. The purple lizardmen shriek with fury as they begin their ascent up the cliff. From his perch, the crossbow user unleashes a rapid volley of bolts into the horde. His projectiles find their targets, striking down several of the advancing creatures. Below, the giant wolf slams the King Lizardman into the ground with overwhelming force. The defeated king lets out a final, desperate shriek while pinned by its opponent. The wolf delivers a powerful, finishing blow to the king lizardman's head. It continues its relentless assault, leaving the king utterly defeated. The wolf lets out a triumphant roar, its face marked by the ferocity of the battle. The beast attack lands with a devastating impact, shattering the king's skull. It grinds its foot down, ensuring the king lizardman's absolute defeat. The wolf's form shifts, revealing Suho as transformed into a werewolf, holding the limp king. He reaches for the leopard skull helmet, his true objective now clear. With a powerful tug, he rips the helmet from the defeated king's head. Suho contemptuously flings the skull aside, his focus remaining on the monster. He grips the king's body, furiously demanding the location of the leopards. The king lizardman lets out a final, agonizing cry as its life fades away. Suddenly, the king's body goes limp, collapsing against a confused Suho. Before he can react, a powerful red fist slams into the side of his head. Suho lets out a ferocious growl, his eyes wide with fury at the surprise attack. The massive red arm strikes again, sending him reeling with a pain shriek. A massive, reptilian eye glares down, revealing the identity of his new, colossal foe. The ground trembles as Suho grapples with the enormous red lizardman, a true giant of its kind. With a single, devastating blow, the monster launches Suho high into the air. Meanwhile, on the cliff, a teammate heaves a boulder onto a climbing lizardman's head. The massive rock crushes the creature, continuing its destructive path down the cliff face. The crossbow user unleashes a relentless barrage of energy bolts into the advancing horde. Their combined assault of projectiles rains down, decimating the climbing lizardmen. Amidst the chaos, one of the teammates expresses concern about their dwindling energy reserves. The crossbow user shouts in frustration, admitting his weapon has limitations but is still useful for the moment. A purple lizardman screeches as it finally claws its way over the cliff's edge. The team leader readies her twin blades, demanding her squad focus as the enemy draws near. A warrior's hand grips his weapon tightly, causing it to crackle with raw energy. Another teammate, wielding the blades, grins with manic glee as he powers up for the fight. The boulder thrower panics, urging his comrades to stop another member from jumping off the cliff. A swordsman in our CD gear looks up, completely baffled by the unfolding chaos. The team's attention is suddenly drawn to figures soaring high above the battlefield. The leader's expression shifts to one of pure shock, her composure finally breaking. Her teammate is left utterly speechless, his mouth agape at the impossible sight. Suho unleashes a feral roar, sinking his claws and teeth into the colossal monster's head. Below, the team realizes their precarious position as the entire cliff is overrun by the lizardman horde. He kicks off the plummeting beast, using its massive body as a launch pad to escape the fall. A teammate on the cliff screams in pure panic, realizing the monster is heading straight for them. The colossal lizardman slams into the cliff, creating a devastating impact that shatters the rock face. This single, devastating crash wipes out the entire lizardman horde in an instant. The immense wave of experience grants Suho a level up and unlocks a new wind attribute skill. The cliff face completely disintegrates, sending a massive shockwave of debris and dust outwards. Thrown off balance by the collapsing ground, the team members begin to fall into the abyss. The leader desperately tries to rally her squad, shouting orders to evacuate as their foothold vanishes. A team member with glasses cries out in terror as the ground violently rumbles and collapses beneath him. The entire squad is sent plummeting downwards as the cliff face completely disintegrates. The last of the lizardmen are also wiped out, shrieking as they are caught in the rock slide. A massive explosion of rock and dust marks the total obliteration of the cliff. Deadly boulders are launched through the air, propelled by the force of the collapse. The team leader tumbles through the settling dust, making a rough landing on the rubble below. She immediately regains her balance, standing firm amidst the newly formed, unstable landscape. Scrambling over the rocks, she anxiously calls out, checking for any survivors from her team. A fist burst from beneath the rubble, revealing Minsuseo has somehow survived the burial. The boulder thrower pulls himself free, looking scratched up but relieved to have made it out. A small white wolf discovers another teammate, injured but alive amidst the debris. Suo stands before the glowing dungeon exit, declaring their path is now open. The team leader turns in astonishment, her gaze fixed on the unscathed young hunter. Minsuseo stares in wide-eyed shock, completely baffled by this turn of events. The relieved survivors, accompanied by the wolf, hurry towards Suho. The RCD swordsman follows, looking utterly exhausted and confused by the ordeal. He struggles to comprehend the sheer scale of destruction that just occurred. Outside, a sphere of blue energy crackles violently, signaling the dungeon break. A waiting party of government agents and elite hunters watches the portal with keen interest. Suho and the surviving team members emerge, surrounded by crackling blue energy. A woman in a suit calmly announces the arrival of the survivors. Her stoic, helmeted companion watches the emerging group in silence. The team walks out of the unstable portal, met by a line of waiting officials. Suho stands at the forefront, his expression unreadable and calm. A veteran hunter sizes up Suho, finding his appearance surprisingly unassuming. The woman in the suit calls out to Suho, attempting to make contact. Suho ignores her, taking a deliberate step forward with a focused gaze. A strange energy buzzes as the woman tries to speak to him again. A massive, winged creature made of pure white feathers suddenly appears, shocking the officials. The majestic bird takes flight with a powerful flap of its wings, leaving the crowd in awe. The official stares blankly, struggling to process whether she just saw a common pigeon. The elite hunters are equally dumbfounded, questioning if the young man actually transformed and flew away. As the squad tries to make sense of the absurdity, their leader jokes about the bird making a good meal. The official turns to the raid leader, recalling a report that mentioned a dog transformation, not a bird. The raid leader, exhausted from the ordeal, curtly tells the official that it's a bad time for business. Undeterred, the official presses the raid leader for the video evidence she was supposed to collect. She then turns her attention to Minsuseo, ordering him to report back to headquarters with his captain. The official adds that the raid leader, Captain Miso, must also return for a debriefing. Captain Miso looks back, demanding to know the reason for the sudden summons. The official coldly informs her that her supervisory mission over Suho is terminated, and she is being reassigned. Captain Miso angrily demands to know her new assignment. The official reveals Miso is being sent for field support in northern Daegu, where the situation has become critical. The captain is utterly stunned by the news of her transfer to the dangerous Daegu region. Meanwhile, the remaining raid members are told that 4 of them must stay to manage the portal. The acting leader assures the departing officials they can handle it, but is advised to find a permanent team. He responds with a carefree and confident laugh, brushing off the concerns. The swordsman watches his leader with unease, questioning the man's true nature. Elsewhere, the veteran hunter furiously questions the order to return to headquarters. He protests that their mission was to negotiate with Suho, but the official dismisses him. Mentioning compensation, she ends the conversation, stating the chief is waiting and they must depart immediately. The veteran hunter furiously realizes the real problem is that Suho was simply not in the mood to talk. As the officials depart, one of the remaining hunters scoffs, doubting the guild's ability to manage the dungeon. His teammate advises him to drop it, while the exhausted swordsman tries to ignore the taunt. The RCD convoy speeds away from the dungeon site, leaving the new team behind. Inside the lead vehicle, the driver confirms their orders to return to the chief. Elsewhere, an enraged official yells into his phone, accusing Captain Miso of leaking information to the press. The female official calmly reports that she has the situation handled and is returning to base. Her superior is left utterly speechless on the other end of the line, stunned by her update. The scene shifts to the gleaming, modern headquarters of the RCD. An image reveals a diary Suho carved into a cave wall, filled with personal thoughts and bizarre anecdotes. An official presents footage, showing Suho effortlessly launching the massive lizardman king into the air. He then shows a clip of Suho's bird form, explaining the hunter can channel the power of any creature he tames. The presentation concludes, leaving the RCD leadership in a stunned, contemplative silence. The veteran hunter breaks the silence, visibly impressed by the sheer power displayed in the recording. The chief speculates that the Lizardman King must have been a B-grade monster at best. The presenter nervously corrects him, confirming the beast was a grade and still completely outmatched. Leaning forward, the chief processes this, concluding Suho's power must be far beyond S-grade. The female official provides a detailed analysis, estimating Suho's combat potential as triple S with no apparent growth limit. The veteran hunter grimly questions if all irregulars possess such terrifying, boundless potential. The official can only offer a look of uncertainty, admitting she has no definitive answer. The chief struggles to comprehend the sheer power Suho must have possessed before his return. The veteran hunter imagines the nation's overwhelming power if more returnees were as strong as Suho. The presenter dismisses this hope, explaining that portals are lethal to the unprepared, making Suho an anomaly. The chief seeks confirmation, asking if their official conclusion is that Suho is a level for dungeon returnee. The female official sharply disagrees, insisting they cannot jump to conclusions just yet. The veteran hunter concedes the truth is hard to swallow, but steers the conversation toward the most critical point. The chief deduces the dungeon itself holds the key to Suho's abilities and seeks verification. The female official calmly affirms his theory is correct. The chief then questions Suho's motives, wondering why he blocked their investigation despite their contract. The veteran hunter scoffs, concluding Suho is simply a greedy man trying to hoard the secret to his power. The presenter tries to correct the veteran hunter, insisting Suho's motives aren't so simple. The senior official interrupts, suggesting Suho is merely posturing to renegotiate his contract. The chief is incensed, complaining they've already bent over backwards for the young hunter. Unfazed by his anger, the official calmly addresses the chief, ready to elaborate. The chief impatiently demands she get to the point, clearly tired of the complications. Elsewhere, the junior official storms off, muttering about the foolishness of their speculation. Back in the meeting, the veteran hunter seems to mock the senior official's assessment. He then proposes a new plan, requesting 80 elite hunters to take the dungeon by force. The chief's demeanor instantly changes, his greed sparked by the thought of the dungeon's valuable loot. The veteran hunter reminds him of the high cost, but the chief grins, seeing it as a worthwhile investment. The chief turns to Captain Miso, asking what they can offer Suho for access to the dungeon. She calmly suggests they give him something they have more than enough of. Intrigued, the chief presses her to reveal what this abundant resource is. The scene cuts to a serene farmhouse in the countryside, bathed in sunlight. A group of young men happily follow their leader to harvest vegetables from the fields. The leader listens with a gentle smile as the youths boast about their gardening achievements. He enters a dark storeroom filled with sacks of fertilizer and farming supplies. Outside, the boys continue to cheerfully plan their harvest and the meal that will follow. The leader instructs them to grab their tools from the shed before heading back out. A sudden, ominous shot reveals a jagged, broken hole in the wall of the dark shed. A monstrous, bloodshot eye stares out from the darkness of the shed wall. Elsewhere, an RCD convoy prepares for a major operation, with 10 minutes until departure. An officer issues final orders, demanding a headcount and equipment check from his units. The security team immediately confirms they are fully prepared for deployment. Detection Team 7 follows, reporting that they are also ready to move out. The commanding officer waits, a hint of confusion on his face as one team remains silent. He calls out directly to Team 11, whose members stand waiting for their leader. The team's captain is momentarily distracted until a subordinate gets her attention. Snapping back to reality, she quickly confirms that her team is also set for the mission. With all units accounted for, the commander gives the final order to commence the operation. The RCD convoy thunders out of the base, kicking up dust as the operation gets underway. Inside an armored transport, the captain of Team 11 sighs, looking at her phone with a weary expression. A subordinate voices his concern, questioning why their detection team is being deployed to a dangerous front line. The captain responds with grim humor, advising her team to settle their affairs before they lose contact. Her subordinate is taken aback by her morbid joke as the convoy speeds toward its destination. Elsewhere, at a peaceful mansion, children play cheerfully in the sun-drenched yard. Nearby, a phone buzzes insistently, displaying an incoming call from Blondie. The phone belongs to Suho, who lies completely still on a bed of herbs, oblivious to the call. He appears to be in a deep, peaceful slumber, a slight smile gracing his lips. Watching over him, the junior official observes with growing concern that Suho's sleep seems unusually long. The junior official worries that public donations will cease now that Suho's true power is known. He suddenly pauses, his attention caught by an unexpected notification on his laptop. His jaw drops as he stares at an unbelievably large sum of money flooding his account. He's startled from his shock by his colleague, Junho, who enters the room unannounced. The junior official complains about the lack of a knock, prompting a teasing remark from Junho. He defensively points to his innocuous video files, denying any suspicious activity. Junho gets serious, asking if there's been any word from their associate, Ma In-jin. Looking at his phone, Junho expresses his growing unease, as Ma In-jin is completely unreachable. The junior official dismisses the worry, assuming Ma In-jin is simply enjoying his time at the farmhouse. His casual demeanor shifts to curiosity as he spots an object in Junho's hand. Junho reveals he brought medicine for an old woman who claims to be seeing things, amusing his colleague. A comical flashback shows the boy and his dog outrunning the frantic old woman. Junho then voices his concern about how long Suho has been asleep, prompting the official to agree. The scene shifts to Suho, now awake and sitting silently on the patch of grass, gazing out the window. His gaze is fixed on a vision of a colossal, radiant tree from another world. He recalls his disappointment when the portal only brought back a small piece of his former home. Instead of his allies, the land swarmed with unfamiliar, hostile red lizardmen. A flashback reveals a fiercer Suho in battle, remembering the fate of his red wolf pack. He recalls a desperate struggle against his own wolf companion, Kuro. The vision continues, showing him locked in combat with one of Zaki's ferocious gorillas. A bitter grin crosses his face as he remembers his so-called allies. He questions if they abandon him, teleporting away out of fear of the lizardmen. Letting out a deep breath, his fiery anger begins to cool into resignation. He decides to leave their reunion to fate, accepting the current circumstances. Putting the past behind him, he steps out of the room to face the present. Junho stands in the doorway, informing the now awake Suho that it's time to eat. With a smile, Suho agrees, admitting his extended nap has left him ravenous. As he leaves the room, Suho sets his phone down on the floor, forgetting it. The forgotten phone immediately buzzes to life with an insistent call from Blondie. Completely oblivious, Suho walks away down the hall, leaving the crucial call unanswered. Suho peeks around the corner, looking for his companions with a curious expression. The scene cuts to the idyllic mansion, where children play happily beneath the colossal tree. At the dining table, Suho casually asks for Blondie, mentioning the lobster feast is for her. His two companions freeze mid-bite, staring back at him in utter disbelief. The junior official's eyes widen as a horrifying suspicion begins to dawn on him. Suho, however, remains completely oblivious, questioning their sudden, strange silence. Leaning forward, the official incredulously asks if Suho is unaware of the woman's real name. Suho's genuine confusion confirms their worst fears. He thinks her name is literally Blondie. The shocking revelation sends the junior official into a state of catatonic horror. Still munching on a lobster claw, Suho remains clueless about the social bomb he just dropped. The junior official explodes with exasperation, revealing the woman's name is actually Suyong Choi. He then questions Suho about his relationship with her, assuming they were dating. Suho's wild upbringing shows as he comically misinterprets dating as the primal act of mating. His companion sighs, utterly defeated by Suho's singular focus on hunting and survival instincts. Junho calmly interjects, informing Suho that Suyong has been dispatched to the countryside. The news of her deployment to a rural area seems to catch Suho's attention. Junho explains that Suyong called him after failing to reach Suho, then brings up the need to hire a new guild member. Suho seems surprised, questioning why their small group would need to expand. Junho emphasizes their dire need for someone to manage portal detection equipment, as they are dangerously short-staffed. He then turns to Suho, asking if he knows anyone who could fill the vital position. The junior official suggests recruiting from his old boxing friends or his online fanbase. He then turns the question to Suho, asking if he has anyone to recommend. The official quickly realizes Suho's long absence from Earth means he likely knows no one. While eating, Suho suddenly brings up their missing associate, Myeon-jin, wondering where he's been. Junho's expression darkens, confirming Myeon-jin is unreachable and recalling his life with monks and orphans in Seoul. The junior official's concern grows as his calls to Myeon-jin go unanswered, noting it's highly unusual. The scene shifts dramatically to armored vehicles moving through a desolate, war-torn city. Inside a transport, Suyong Choi is ordered to power down all devices as they enter the Necrobill Red Zone. A monstrous hand reaches for a phone as its owner questions the unexpected and dangerous detour. Suyong lets out a soul sigh, having just managed to switch off her phone in time. The monstrous hand slides its finger across the screen, initiating the shutdown sequence. With the phone now powering off, the mysterious figure goes completely dark. Meanwhile, the military convoy rattles deeper into the treacherous, misty woods. Back at the mansion, the junior official notices to miss calls from Suyong on his own phone. A wave of unease washes over him as he stares at the notification, realizing the danger. Suho, now aware of the situation, tries to call Suyong himself. His call fails, met only by an automated message that the number cannot be reached. Unbeknownst to them, Suyong's convoy rumbles further into the isolated and dangerous territory. The ground begins to tremble as they approach a colossal, shadowy tree at the heart of the zone. From the darkness, a horde of grotesque, undead creatures emerges, their dead eyes turning towards the approaching noise. The military convoy's wheels tear through the treacherous, undead-infested territory. From the shadows, a monstrous, bloodshot eye glares with terrifying focus at the intruders. Back at the mansion, Suho continues his desperate attempts to reach Suyong, his expression grim. Amidst the carnage of the ambush, a cracked and blood-spattered phone begins to ring. The screen flickers to life, showing Suho's name as the caller, a plea that will go unanswered. Suho lowers his phone in defeat, confirming to the others that his calls are failing. Suddenly, a sleek white SUV screeches to a halt in front of the mansion, signaling an unexpected arrival. A woman and a man emerge, the woman on the phone with Junho, urgently asking to meet Suho. Her white-haired companion has a flash of recognition, muttering about someone known as the Dog Man. The woman on the phone pauses, momentarily confused by her partner's cryptic remark. Suho sits alone beneath the colossal tree, lost in thought as he waits for his unexpected visitors. The white-haired man cuts straight to the point, asking if Suho is there to discuss the upcoming expedition. Suho questions their intense focus on the new planet, pointing out it's not the utopia everyone had hoped for. The woman reveals their true agenda is to explore the dungeon and uncover the source of his extraordinary powers. He dismisses her theory, claiming his strength is from a millennium of training, and seems annoyed by her disbelief. His new acquaintance urges him to cooperate, stressing that they are all facing a national crisis together. The term national crisis catches Suho completely off guard, highlighting his long disconnect from Earth's problems. The woman elaborates on the escalating threat of dungeon breaks and the swarms of creatures now plaguing the land. She underscores their desperate need for powerful fighters like him to combat the growing hordes. Demonstrating his profound ignorance of the new world, Suho simply asks what an infectee is. She explains that a mysterious virus creates aggressive creatures, neither living nor dead, that attack anything on sight. These infected, officially designated necrobills, are shown being studied while violently restrained in a lab. A map reveals spreading necrobill red zones, which threaten to cripple travel and complicate dungeon containment. The woman theorizes the virus came from the portals, admitting their current forces are overwhelmed by its rapid spread. Suho cuts to the chase, summarizing their offer as to gifts in exchange for his dungeon exploration and hunting skills. For their first offer, she proposes to immediately raise his guild's rank to level 5. He quickly grasps the implication access to any dungeon, up to level 5, which she enthusiastically confirms. She gives him a confident smirk, certain he can't refuse such a tempting deal. Suho remains composed, calmly inquiring about the second part of their offer. The woman reveals their second gift is an entire area, leaving Suho to ponder what that truly means. She offers him the northern part of Gwangju, a massive territory right next to his own land, and asks if he can handle the responsibility. Suho processes the offer, realizing they want him to fortify abandoned land and serve as Seoul's eastern line of defense. The woman confirms most of the country has fallen into ruin, with only a few major cities remaining as safe havens. She explains that refugees are fleeing the devastated countryside, but the overcrowded cities can no longer support them. Suho understands their true proposal. He is to establish a new sanctuary in Gyeonggi province and welcome the displaced survivors. The woman lays out a vision of a rebuilt city, powered by dungeon resources, promising his guild unimaginable wealth and influence. She further details the plan, noting that a guild controlling a stable portal in this new territory would essentially hit the jackpot. A confident smile crosses Suho's face as he acknowledges that their offer is indeed quite compelling. Before accepting, however, he shifts the focus, asking about the current situation in North Korea. She explains that North Korea's command system was obliterated at the start of the catastrophe, leaving it completely overrun by monsters. The white-haired man elaborates that a coup shattered North Korea's leadership, forcing survivors into scattered groups. He warns that without dungeon management, breaks are rampant, and it's only a matter of time before refugees flee south. Suho smirks, privately wondering who is truly getting the better end of this seemingly one-sided deal. With a confident expression, he formally accepts their offer and suggests they proceed with the contract. The woman beams, certain he's made the right choice as she readies the digital agreement. Before signing, Suho confirms that his 100-day travel restriction within Korea is now officially lifted. He then tables the contract, announcing he has two favors to ask as part of their agreement. The woman pauses, intrigued, and asks him to state his conditions. Suho's first demand is a meeting with the scientist who invented the dimensional energy measuring instrument. Her curiosity piqued by his unusual request, the woman asks what his second favor is. Suho reveals his second favor is for them to track down Mai Jin's cell phone. He explains that Mai Jin is currently unreachable, adding a layer of urgency to his request. The woman confidently agrees, considering both of his requests simple enough to fulfill. With the terms set, the white-haired man declares he's ready to begin his part of the mission. The scene shifts to the impressive, towering headquarters of the renowned Shilla Guild. Inside, a group of hopefuls waits nervously for the guild's highly anticipated hunter recruitment event. The applicants sit in tense silence, the weight of the high-stakes interview clear on their faces. The narrative explains that the Shilla Guild is a powerhouse, backed by Korea's top conglomerate, the Shilla Group. Its recruitment process is notoriously difficult, holding public tryouts only twice a year and rejecting most applicants at the resume stage. For the few who succeed, however, the Shilla Guild offers unparalleled support, making it the ultimate dream for any hunter. An applicant named Yesik Jang nervously awaits his turn, viewing this as his last hope after his previous guild disbanded. He recalls his surprise and relief upon receiving the acceptance message. His years of experience finally recognized. Despite passing the first hurdle, he trembles with anxiety, knowing the real test is far from over. He observes the other 50 candidates, aware that only a select 10 will survive the final interview. With grim determination, he steels himself, Understanding this could be his one and only chance for a better future. Suddenly, an unexpected notification on his phone breaks his intense focus. The swordsman stares at the message with a stunned expression, completely caught off guard by its contents. Inside the interview room, a panel of executives curtly dismisses another group of hopefuls. The rejected candidates file out of the room, their shoulders slumped in disappointment. The interviewers express their frustration, deeming the recruitment a bust and the applicants unimpressive. One interviewer cynically remarks that a swordsman applicant would make a perfect, disposable loot guard. Another executive reviews Yesik Jang's resume, noting his valuable experience as a swordsman. A colleague scoffs, pointing out Yesik has remained a lowly E rank for 3 years. The lead interviewer, however, sees potential and decides to personally select Yesik for the guild. Having made their choice, the panel instructs an assistant to bring in the next group of candidates. The assistant opens the door to the waiting area, calling for applicants 46 through 50. As the new group files in, the interviewers immediately notice that their lineup is incomplete. They question the candidates, demanding to know the whereabouts of applicant number 50, Yesik Jang. A fellow applicant nervously explains that Yesik suddenly ran out of the building without a word. The lead interviewer, who had just vouched for him, is left looking utterly perplexed by the sudden disappearance. The message is a direct invitation from Suho Park to join his new guild in Gyeonggi. Without hesitation, Yesik drops his crumpled applicant number, abandoning his spot. He bolts from the building, believing he's received a call from his personal savior. The scene shifts to a convoy of armored vehicles rumbling through a desolate, overgrown path. As they drive through a narrow canyon, shadowy figures watch them from the cliffs above. A heavy machine gun on one of the vehicles swivels, scanning the area for threats. Inside the vehicle, a soldier smirks, seemingly unimpressed by the onlookers. He points to a radar screen, boasting that their enemies are too intimidated to make a move. Another soldier remains on edge, aware that the creatures could swarm them at any time. Suddenly, a terrifying horde of undead monsters with glowing red eyes emerges from the gloom. Inside the armored vehicle, soldiers debate their risky shortcut, a necessary gamble to stay on schedule. The radar operator suddenly spots an anomaly on his screen, alerting Captain Kim to a new development. High above, a menacing winged creature swoops down, targeting the unsuspecting convoy below. The captain stares grimly ahead, his expression hardening as he tries to identify the approaching threat. Further up the path, a pack of ghoulish monsters is revealed, feasting on the carcass of a large beast. The vehicle's powerful headlights flash on, piercing the darkness of the narrow canyon. Illuminated by the beam, a horrifying undead creature turns, its single red eye locking onto the soldiers. It lets out a piercing shriek that echoes through the canyon, alerting the rest of its kind. One soldier frantically suggests launching rockets, but his comrade warns against provoking the creatures. The captain overrules him, ordering an immediate attack as they have no time to waste. A soldier takes a steadying breath, his expression a mixture of anxiety and resolve. With a firm press, his thumb activates the weapon system's launch button. The vehicle's mounted rocket pod mechanically adjusts, readying its payload. The soldier lets out a fierce cry, fully committed to the preemptive strike. A barrage of rockets erupts from the vehicle, streaking towards the monster-infested cliffs. The launcher immediately begins to cycle, preparing for a second volley. His eyes are wide with adrenaline as he executes the captain's aggressive command. The soldier's determined shout echoes the thunderous launch of the missiles. The rockets fly in a deadly arc, blanketing the path ahead in a show of force. Startled by the sudden assault, the undead creatures look up from their feast in alarm. A fiery explosion erupts, engulfing the unsuspecting creatures in a devastating blast. The surviving undead stare in stunned silence, their mindless feasting violently interrupted. With the path cleared, the driver gets the order to accelerate and plow through the remaining horde. The armored convoy smashes forward, crushing everything in its path as it rumbles through the canyon. Enraged by the assault, the ghoulish creatures let out a furious, collective shriek. The vehicles speed deeper into the treacherous pass, leaving a cloud of dust and chaos behind them. A heavy machine gun on one of the vehicles swivels, locking onto a new wave of threats. The entire horde, now fully alerted, begins a relentless pursuit of the convoy. A soldier looks back in terror, screaming at his comrades as the monsters close in. The rear turret erupts, unleashing a torrent of gunfire to hold back the charging swarm. The undead horde relentlessly swarms the armored vehicle, clawing desperately at the metal hull. The story cuts away, zooming into the isolated and overgrown region of Gapyeong. Here, a simple white van rattles precariously down a secluded forest trail. The van lurches to a sudden, grinding halt, its tires screeching on the dirt path. This sudden stop proves to be a terrible mistake, as ravenous monsters emerge from the woods. A blinking dashboard light reveals their dire predicament. The fuel tank is empty. The driver, refusing to give up. Decides they must risk it all and push toward the nearby campgrounds. The van lurches forward again, speeding past a weathered sign for the Gapyeong forest path. An overhead view shows the van is not alone, as a shadowy horde closes in on the road. As the monsters give chase, the driver spots their goal, announcing the campground office is just ahead. The driver apologizes for his decision, shocked that monsters have reached this far out. His companion, Jin, reassures him, sharing his own desire to cook a fresh meal for the kids. The driver is moved by his brother's words, his expression a mix of gratitude and anxiety. Jin outlines their plan to gather food and hide before returning to the children. His brother agrees, his thoughts turning to the hungry kids waiting for them. Outside, the ground trembles as a horde of ravenous monsters closes in on their position. The van barrels toward the office building, its open door their only hope for survival. Now inside, Jin peers out a window, a strange energy emanating from his hand. A woman at a barred window urges everyone to be ready to run the second the van arrives. Huddled in the dark, a group of terrified children and their caretakers await rescue. Jin's expression hardens, his resolve to protect the children becoming absolute. The van screeches to a violent halt right in front of the campground office. Wasting no time, a lone monster breaks from the pack, dashing towards the vehicle. The ground trembles as the entire monstrous horde follows suit, swarming the area. One of the creatures lets out a terrifying shriek, its mutated face contorted in rage. With the van's doors flung open, the survivors make a desperate sprint for the building. His brother screams a warning as a monster closes in on an unsuspecting Jin from behind. The brother glances back in terror, his face pale with fear for Jin's safety. The creature lets out a piercing cry as it lunges forward, claws outstretched. The group frantically races toward the safety of the building, the monster hot on their heels. Jin tells his terrified companions to keep running as a monster bears down on them. Despite the immense pressure, his expression remains one of steely resolve. He tightens his grip on his staff, readying himself for a counterattack. In a blur of motion, he spins around and lands a crushing blow on the creature's head. With the first pursuer dispatched, he briefly stands over its defeated form. He then unleashes a powerful series of strikes, fending off multiple attackers at once. His relentless assault comes to a sudden stop as he digs his heels into the ground. A new, larger wave of monsters cast a dawning shadow over him. He realizes with dread that his special ability is still minutes away from being ready. Just then, his eyes widen as he spots something completely unexpected. Jin is caught off guard as a brilliant blue light flashes before him. Suddenly, a powerful energy erupts, engulfing the charging horde in a chaotic whirlwind. He stares in shock as a tiny, glowing fairy-like being materializes in the air. The monsters are violently flung into the sky, caught in an unstoppable vortex of wind. Jin can only watch as the raging cyclone effortlessly sweeps the entire swarm away. Inside, his brother and the others look on, their faces a mixture of terror and utter confusion. Jin's expression is one of pure disbelief, surrounded by the lingering magical energy. His gaze shifts upward, spotting a mysterious figure standing atop a nearby building. The unknown savior casually observes the powerful whirlwind, finding the ability quite useful. From the rooftop, the stranger watches as the last of the monsters are slammed back down to the ground. Jin turns, his face a mask of utter astonishment at the whirlwind's power. Inside, his brother and the children can only gape in disbelief at the impossible event. The mysterious figure stands casually on the roof, surveying the chaos he created. Jin's shock turns to recognition as he identifies the powerful stranger. The man on the roof gives a cool warning, telling him to keep his distance from the vortex. Undeterred, another group of monsters foolishly charges toward the building. They are instantly caught in the swirling tornado, tossed around like ragdolls. The stranger effortlessly conducts the wind, creating multiple cyclones to deal with the threat. Jin is left speechless, watching the massive, sparkling whirlwind decimate the horde. The stranger smirks, clearly enjoying the overwhelming display of his own power. Elsewhere, a different battle rages as monsters are torn apart by a hail of unseen projectiles. Golden beams of energy relentlessly pierce through the creatures, leaving a trail of destruction. Inside a military vehicle, a panicked soldier urgently tries to contact air support. He desperately reports their position, revealing they're being overrun by a horde of necrobills. Suddenly, the sky darkens as massive boulders begin to rain down from above. The summoned rocks plummet towards the ground with unstoppable, devastating force. The earth-shattering barrage continues, aimed directly at the chaotic battlefield below. A military vehicle is caught in the rock slide, crushed along with the swarming monsters. The soldier stares in horror, his call for backup cut short by the unexpected assault. His comrades and their vehicle are completely buried under an avalanche of stone. A soldier frantically urges his driver to accelerate, their faces pale with fear. A military vehicle is violently overturned, swarmed by a shrieking mass of monsters. The ground trembles as another summoned boulder smashes into the earth with immense force. Two soldiers are flung from their vehicle, their expressions frozen in terror as they plummet. An armored transport is launched into the air amidst the chaotic rock slide, sending monsters flying. The chaos intensifies as another tank overturns, forcing the convoy into disarray. Amidst the panic, a blonde-haired CD agent sits calmly, her weapon glowing with a serene blue aura. The remaining soldiers are stunned as their vehicle grinds to a halt. Learning of their comrade's fate, one of the men turns to his captain, his voice trembling as he declares their situation hopeless. Outside, the horde continues its relentless assault, completely overwhelming another military transport. The blonde agent calmly glances at a monitor, her hand already glowing with the cool blue energy. Outside, a monster's bloodshot eye glares with mindless hunger, a sign of the horrors to come. The agent's own eyes widen in alarm as the sounds of the horde intensify. The creatures swarm their transport, their desperate growls echoing as they try to break in. Frustrated by the delay, she orders the door open, lamenting that her nightmare has become a reality. A terrified soldier sees the monstrous faces pressed against the rear window, and reluctantly agrees to open it. With a trembling finger, he presses the button to unseal the rear hatch. The door slowly whirs open, revealing the shrieking mob waiting just outside. Stepping forward with grim determination, the agent tells her panicked comrade to get behind her. A flood of grasping claws and contorted bodies immediately pours through the opening. The soldiers behind her look on with disgust, questioning how they'll ever get past the grotesque horde. The agent issues a clear command: run for Team 7's vehicle and eliminate any threats in their path. Outside, the ravenous mob of monsters shrieks under the moonlight, ready to pounce. With a furious cry, she unleashes a blinding sphere of golden energy from her hands. The powerful energy beam shoots forward, carving a path directly through the swarming creatures. A massive explosion erupts, violently throwing the monsters back from the transport. The soldiers watch in awe as the blast clears every last monster that was clinging to their vehicle. She urgently orders her team to move, spotting yet another wave of monsters approaching. Through the dust and chaos, the silhouettes of more creatures can be seen charging toward them. A fresh horde emerges from the nearby woods, their dead eyes fixed on the soldiers. The agent makes a decisive call, ordering everyone to abandon the compromised vehicle. Now outside, she's immediately ambushed by a creature lunging from above. Without hesitation, she unsheathes her blade in a flash of motion. With a single, graceful arc of her sword, she carves a path through the attacking creatures.
Hello everyone, subscribe to my channel to not miss new trending manhwa.